Hi, I'm John Freitag. I'm with All American Hospice. Today, I'm here with Jerry Rothkoff. He's an elder care attorney with Rothkoff Elder Law. Thanks for taking the time out of your schedule, Jerry. Thanks for joining us.
John, I appreciate you inviting me, and I appreciate you doing this not just for myself, but for the long-term professional community as well.
Thanks. I enjoy doing this, so I like really have fun keeping everyone connected, and I appreciate your time. Jerry, we were talking a little bit before the call, trying to get people connected, trying to know a little bit about your story. So why do you work with seniors?
I practice elder law, which mainly, my average client age is probably 80 years old, I would say. The main reason I do it because it gave me the opportunity to practice law, but more than practice law, it gave me the opportunity to help people who in many cases are in a moment of crisis, or their family member is in a moment of a crisis. So, and over the years, we've added different pieces to it. I would love to say that the main reason I got involved in elder law was related to a family situation. Saying both my grandmother and grandfather both had Alzheimer's disease, and I would love to say that the main reason I got involved in elder law is because I saw what happened to them, and in remembrance of a grandparent, I want to help others who do not have to go through the same experience, or didn't, or receive help the way my family maybe didn't receive help or do the right thing. But that would all be a lie. That's not the reason I got involved in elder law.
Okay.
The main reason I got involved in elder law because I kind of fell into it back in I would say the late 90s. I was practicing law in Philadelphia, doing civil litigation work at a small law firm in Center City, Philadelphia, back in the late 90s. And I got involved in a couple elder law cases, and then I went and I had to learn the difference between Medicare and Medicaid 20 plus years ago.
At that time, was there a lot of elder law specialties, or specialists, I should say, or was it?
Not like it is today. It was elder law as a specialty really became, I would say, a specialty probably in the late 80s, but really around the time I got involved in elder law, which was 2000, it really started to go into mainstream. So I was still on the upper cusp of the rise in the practice of elder law itself. So, but I went to some seminars, and I really learned how to practice elder law back in the early 2000s.
Sorry to interrupt you, but how does elder law different than say just a standard attorney?
Well, that's a simple question on its face, a very difficult question to answer in practice. Elder law attorneys deal with issues related to the aging process. Naturally, dealing with the aging process, we're involved in long-term care. So elder law attorneys in general have a specialty in dealing with issues associated with the aging process, and have a specific knowledge of the long-term care system, the reimbursement system related to long-term care. But it certainly involves estate planning. It involves real estate. It involves taxes. It can involve Social Security, obviously Medicaid, VA benefits. That's all interrelated in Medicaid. So that's generally what a traditional elder law attorney does. Right. I've been practicing elder law for 20 years. That's all I know how to do. Yeah. I don't do workers' comp. I don't do personal injury work. I don't handle divorces. Right. I have no idea how to do that, and I have enough to do as it is.
Yeah, so there's lots of different facets, and you guys take an approach, a real holistic approach, having different care managers, working with people in the community. What do you guys do that's a little bit different?
Well, when I started getting involved in elder law, I did what every other attorney did in starting in 2000, which is crisis Medicaid planning. For example, you have a parent in a nursing home, how to protect the money so you don't give it to the nursing home, and how to leave money to heirs or to a spouse. There's a place for that, and can be a very important place for that in the right circumstances. And that's what I did for the first 4 or 5 years of traditional elder law. But the more I thought about what the services are being provided, the more I thought about what services were not being provided. Because clients were coming to us with questions I couldn't answer. Does mom's insurance cover certain durable medical equipment? How about prescription drug coverage? What's the best home care agency? What's the qualifications to qualify for hospice, which obviously, John, you know quite a deal about. So we were getting questions, in other words, that were related to what we do, but clearly in its purest form, were not legal in nature. So I realized I had to do a better job. I had to do a better job of not just being an elder law attorney, but I would argue more importantly, being a healthcare advocate, helping families navigate the long-term care process. So that is really the distinction that we do compared to an attorney, or an elder law attorney, I should say, who doesn't have that care component in-house, where we have currently we have 5 geriatric social workers who help our families navigate the long-term care process and can really help them get the best care for their loved one. That really is what stands out. And in my humble opinion, that really provides the value that we offer to our clients and their caregiver loved ones.
I agree. And I like that you took the problems that were coming to you, and that's how you developed the program. And I think lots of times you see that in multiple industries. You have to listen to hear what the actual problems are to develop the product that's going to solve it for them. You can't just guess what the problems are. You waited, had them come to you, and then you put something to implement, to put it in place. So that's awesome. I love the services. How's COVID-19 impacting these services?
Well, it's obviously impacted your services related to hospice, and it certainly impacted all industries, including elder law. I mean, we're not immune to it. I would argue it was kind of a wait and see attitude. We didn't know how it was going to affect us. I mean, you could think about all the different issues. Yes, we're not, practical issues such as client, which we've talked about earlier with you, client signings where we're not meeting with them. Well, how do you notarize a document? How do you provide witnesses if you're not legally seeing the client sign the document across from the table? So that's a practical issue. Issues related to initial consultations, and so there's practical issues related to guardianship and having a capacity assessment by a clinician. Well, that all needs to occur in person. So there are certain legal issues and obstacles that had to be overcome, some of this by legislation. So that's the practicalities. But there are also issues that came into even more prominence. I do not have to tell you, John, because you are a long-term care professional, are what some of the issues facing both the staff as well as residents of long-term care communities in the Philadelphia metropolitan area. You know it, I know it, and most people who watch this video probably knows what's going on. So I'm not going to get into that at the moment. But the issues that our clients face have actually increased because previously our family members were helping our clients. They were visiting them on a regular basis, right, in an assisted living and nursing home. And you and I both know the family members are banned. Visitation is limited, except, John, as you know, with end of life, being in
right.
hospice.
Yes, and you guys were instrumental in getting a family member's, actually one of our mutual clients, getting I believe it was the wife out to visit the husband, and able to keep them connected at the end, because unfortunately lots of facilities weren't allowing anyone in.
Right. Right, and they still are not, as you know as well. As of May 6th, today's date. Right. So we have one of our care coordinators are speaking with clients all day long, helping to facilitate those communications that they can't have with their loved ones. So we try to act as an intermediary. You attend care. What's going on, reaching the social worker. So we're actually providing more services, especially related to healthcare advocacy, than we previously, because we have to now help the families facilitate the services that some of them were providing. And we're doing things that we can never imagine doing. Counseling a client as to what clothing. I mean, I just spoke with a client yesterday. He's a widower, doesn't have any local family. I had to counsel him about planning the funeral arrangements, of course, because restrictions on funerals, of course, are limited, and currently the process has changed with open caskets versus closed caskets. And I had to talk to him about this, what clothing that he should pick out to dress his wife, even though it may be a closed casket. And those are conversations I never had to talk about a client with before.
Yeah.
Obviously, other issues with clients are concerned about whether or not to take their loved one out of assisted living or nursing home, or the opposite, whether it's the right time to place a loved one in an assisted living or a nursing home setting.
Yeah. What do you see, actually? What are you seeing on your end? Are you seeing more people that are reluctant to put people in a facility now?
Generally, the answer is yes.
Yeah. Do you think that'll change going forward? Do you think there's going to be some sort of stigma there now related to this? As nursing homes didn't have enough room?
I think that attitude will change, but I think that stigma will remain. Yeah. And of course, it's related to even returning to the business place. Right. What's the testing? What are the precautions put in place? Mm-hmm. But what's your infection control procedures? What's your infection control, score, which is going to be out there now, things of that nature, right, for any specific community. So I think there's going to be, like anything, the longer you go, time heals all wounds, right, included, I would argue, COVID-19 wounds. Yep. And so I think that there's going to be a slow change in attitude, but I think there's still certainly going to be a need for assisted living and nursing homes. Sure. But I think there more and more people will try to find a way to keep their loved one in a home and community setting as long as possible. Yeah.
Jerry, you mentioned legislative changes. For example, notaries, some of that stuff's changing. Is legislation able to move fast enough to keep up with the changes of the disease?
Generally, the answer is no. Like anything in life, legislation, I would say, reacts to the facts on the ground. Right. The law was not prepared for COVID-19 in lots of different varieties. Now, there were no provisions in place before, I would say, end of March related to virtual notaries for wills, powers of attorney, trusts, and the advanced directives and the like. Right. So there's temporary legislation in place in both Pennsylvania and New Jersey to allow virtual notaries, but that's temporary. Currently, it will end when the healthcare crisis, which is dictated by the governor, ends.
State of emergency, is that when it's?
Yes. Okay. There's no date for that to end at the moment, at least in the Philadelphia metro region, right, as opposed to other parts of Pennsylvania, for example. Mm-hmm. But I think there'll be some permanent legislation that will be in place as a result of that. But there's certain things, there's certainly things related to virtual signings that will of legal documents that will change over time.
Yeah, you guys work so you're in New Jersey and Philadelphia region, right? Your offices. Is there any major legislative differences between the two states?
Related to COVID-19?
Yeah, just different ways you need to practice in New Jersey versus in Pennsylvania.
Well, there's some general important distinctions in overall law pre-COVID-19 related to specifically Medicaid eligibility. Okay, right. Where it depends on what state would make more fiscal sense related to protecting a primary residence, for example, right, or the Healthy Spouses IRA. But that exists pre or post-COVID. Okay. But related to COVID, not necessarily. Okay. The only difference currently related to assisted living and nursing homes. Mm-hmm. By the way, it's a bad situation on both sides of the river, okay? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say one state's better than the other.
I didn't know if one state was a little more proactive than the other or just a little more progressive.
The only difference, and I'm not here to place blame. There's a lot of blame to go around in all different aspects of why the situation the way it's at. That's far beyond the scope of our conversation. And right, I would say it's on everyone why long-term care residents are so vulnerable. It's everyone's fault, is what I would say. You go down the road, you go down the list, it's everyone's. There's lots of blame to be placed.
Yeah, but I don't think we could point fingers. We just need to see how it shakes out and look back and see what we can learn from it.
Correct. But what I will say is that New Jersey, I wouldn't say has been more proactive, mm-hmm, but New Jersey names specific assisted living and nursing homes
Right.
with updated statistics daily on the number of COVID-related deaths in each community, as well as the number of COVID-positive residents in each community.
Yeah.
Though Pennsylvania has decided not to go down that road, I think Pennsylvania at the most lists COVID-related deaths or of each county, not necessarily related directly to nursing homes or assisted living.
Right. Yeah, I think they're still lumping them all together.
Yeah. So, but the laws, other than that, the laws are relatively similar in each state. I would
Right.
say, with what's been enacted to date related to respond to the legal needs of seniors related to COVID.
Right. So Jerry, you stay really up to date on it, and you guys are always putting out fresh information. Where do you get most of your information? Is it from CMS or just where in general do you like to look to stay up to date?
Well, it's in multiple areas, and I'm spending more time on elder law listservs or blogs or government websites than I've ever spent in my life, because every day it seems like different directives in some capacity. So some of that's just for elder law websites to know what's going on, but also CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and there's two of my favorite, and then daily email updates from different nonprofits.
Right.
And two of my favorite nonprofits are my go-to source, I would say. Well, there's really three of them. One is the Center for Medicare Advocacy, which is based in both Connecticut and DC. That's basically a nonprofit Medicare advocacy law firm. Gets the updates on all COVID-related issues related to Medicare. That's Center for Medicare Advocacy.org.
Okay. Thank you.
The other is the Kaiser Health News, through the Kaiser Foundation.
Okay, I think I've actually heard you mention that one before. Okay.
Which is a great source of information related to all aspects of healthcare, including seniors.
Mm-hmm.
Kaiser Health News, you can Google it. And the third is a nursing home advocacy group. And I'm trying to think of the right name for it. I can pull that up in a second, John. Bear with me.
Sure, yeah.
Let me try to find that.
Okay. Well, while you're looking, we could switch to something a little bit more. What's your favorite thing about what you do?
Oh, by the way, before I answer that important question, this is the National Consumer Voice for Quality Nursing Home Care.
That's the third one. Okay.
Third one, National Consumer Voice for Quality Nursing Home Care. Puts out daily updates, and they also do weekly webinars as well as to updates on issues related to nursing home and assisted living care for seniors.
I'll try to pull up some links and I'll put them below in the videos when we share.
So those are my go-tos, I would say, at least on a weekly or daily basis.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
And what was the question? Something fun, right?
So yeah, trying to bring a little more levity to it. What is your favorite thing that you do? What's your favorite thing about what you do?
I would say two things.
Okay.
Number one, getting a hug from a client or a family member. What does that mean? That means we've done something right. They don't have to hug me. Oh, it's okay. I'm over it. But I would say that, having the satisfaction of a job well done, or speaking to a loved one or a family member of a loved one who's passed away, and them telling us of how valuable our services are. And when I say valuable our services, I'm not referring to me directly. I'm referring to our team of 29 other people, our social workers, our Medicaid specialists, other attorneys, our health insurance advisor, our intake coordinators, our office manager, our receptionist, who someone says how nice they were, saying that we provided relief, we took the burden off of them. That's the highest compliment. So some form of a hug, it could be a virtual hug these days.
Right.
So is really what I and we take great pride in, knowing that we've done all we could to assist them. Is probably my the greatest time I have as an elder law attorney. The other issue would be similarly related, how I see our staff and see how we operate, and the value that we place into staff education into staff getting out of the community, meeting people like yourself, attending networking events, and see them nurture and grow since they've joined our office, and see the enthusiasm in their eyes and hear the enthusiasm in their voice, knowing that they love what they do. And that's a reflection on our entire team. And so those are the biggest joys, the joy we get out of a job well done, and seeing those who you placed faith in and are assisting our clients on a daily basis, see the value that they bring to the office and the value they bring to others.
That's great. And you guys certainly are great at what you do. I really appreciate everything that you guys put out, the nuts and bolts of the VA benefits, everything that you guys share with us, all the programs that you guys share with communities, and now we're doing virtually. So thank you for everything, and keep up the good work.
John, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time today, and keep up your great work, because I think, you know, I'm really impressed that you're doing these, and I appreciate everything you do for seniors in the community as well.
Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it. All right.
Okay. Well, good talking to you.
Thanks, Jerry. If anyone has any questions, I'm going to put up your contact info and Rothkoff Law in the comments below. So thanks again. All right.
Thank you, John. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too. All right. Bye-bye.